All right, hey, welcome back, friends, players, pickers, all the above. You're back on my YouTube channel. I'm Corey Congilio, and the questions about dominant 7 arpeggios keep coming. So let me help you learn them and practice them and implement them into your playing a little bit better. Now, I had a student, one-on-one student, some weeks, months back. Who knows when you'll watch this, so the timeline's not important. But he asked me, how can I get to use these dominant 7 arpeggios a little bit faster? How can I implement them faster? Because I learn them, but I don't know how to play them or practice them. And it got me thinking, okay, I think I have an idea. And when I prep for these lessons, I do a fair amount of playing against a track, just to kind of open it up a little bit and say, like, okay, I'm not going to sound like a complete moron when I'm conveying this information and making sure that it reaches you in a manner in which you'll digest it and hopefully start to use it immediately. So today, we're going to be focusing on E7 arpeggios and how they work with E minor pentatonic scales and the marriage of both of those, okay? So we're going to dive into some playing. I'll sort of run the neck, run the arpeggios, run the scales, and I'll talk to you about how I did that in the lesson. So we're going to do that here in a moment. It's just an E vamp, one chord vamp. You got to know how to play over one chord. It's just as important as playing over many other chords. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, you can always subscribe to get lessons weekly from me. Also, there's some other stuff happening on the channel too that's going to be really exciting. So ring the bell, subscribe, all that stuff. You know the drill by now. There's links below for tabs, tracks, all sorts of things. All you got to do is click the link, put your email in, and you'll get that stuff. And visit my website and a bunch of the other links below as well. And feel free to message me in the comments about what you'd like to see me teach on or the questions you might have. So all that's out of the way. I call that the housekeeping, if you will. Let's jump into a little quick playing. It's like an E vamp, just one chord, bass players doing their thing, drummer, keys. Oh, it's all computer drums, computer keys, computer bass. Sorry, I'll employ some more friends on another video, but this was a fun one I thought I'd put together real fast. Let's jump in and do it, and then we'll talk about it. Here we go. All right, so what you saw me do there was use a combination of E7 arpeggios and E minor pentatonic scales. And really, what I decided when I was working this lesson up was like, how can I intermingle or intertwine both of those ideas? And it's really just as simple as going up with the arpeggio and down with the scale. So let's get our feet planted, make sure we know what we're talking about. We're in the key of E. Well, it's an E7, so I want you to think about an E7 chord being the only chord we're playing over top of. And what I want you to think of is that you're going to use whatever E7 arpeggio shapes you have under your fingers at this time, and you can learn the others as you progress through this video, so on and so on, okay? But you should also have your E minor pentatonic scale shapes under your fingers as well. So if you're kind of in the place where you're like, I know these arpeggios, but I can't make music with them, a lot of people will just kind of play over this. And it just sounds like you're running not much different than a scale, really. But you want to make some music with it, which is why I thought, what if we did up arpeggio, down pentatonic scale? And there's going to be a little bit of a sort of concept behind this, some tricks that you want to make sure that you know and understand before you go, jumping into these waters. For instance, maybe you know this E7 arpeggio. And you say, okay, I'll come down a pentatonic scale. That's probably going to sound a little disjointed. What we want to do is keep our ideas close and keep our patterns and our melody lines available in the same spot of the guitar. So when I play that arpeggio, I think to myself, what's the closest E minor pentatonic scale? Because the E minor pentatonic scale, we know from playing blues stuff, works so well over any dominant 7-chord stuff. Okay? So I walk up that dominant 7 arpeggio, and I come down with the nearest pentatonic scale, in this case, pattern 4. I'll go over this stuff a little bit more in detail, but I want you to see arpeggio, scale. So right away, just even by myself, I can make some music. Arpeggio, scale. Okay, so now let's talk about getting that all over the guitar as much as we possibly can. So another thing too is that every arpeggio in a spot on the guitar, you have the ability to kind of cover strings 1 through 6 or 6 through 1. And you don't need to do that. Otherwise, you're going to sound like you're playing, sweep arpeggios in a metal band. If you want to do that, that's awesome. I can't do that. It's not really my thing. There was a time when, yes, I may have wanted to kind of, done some sweeping. Don't really do that anymore, okay? Occasionally I'll do a lick like that, and maybe that's hearkening back to my metal background. But ultimately, I like to take little chunks of the arpeggios in smaller regions of the fretboard and on string sets to make the most music, okay? So a lot of times I'll start here with this one on the 5th string. That's the 7th fret. Now I hesitate because I've done a video on these before. Not all of them, but these 2 primary shapes. And that one here on E, starts on that E note on the 7th fret, 5th string. And it goes E, G sharp, B, and D. And those 4 notes are the notes that make up an E7 chord. And then we just repeat them with this fingering. E, G sharp, B, and D. Notice how my finger covers 2 strings there. But I'm not going to take a lot of time explaining these shapes because I'll tab them out for you guys. And there's also a video on my channel that describes these. They're everywhere. And of course down here, and here, and so on. But the idea is we want to take these smaller chunks because we want to put them against their respective E minor pentatonic shape. Cool, so what I did is, I think, if I remember correctly from what I was playing, because I just hit the space bar and I go, is I'll start on one like this, 5th string, 7th fret, and check out its respective E minor pentatonic position, the one that's closest. If I go here, I have pattern 5 available to me. So maybe here, pattern 1. Here, pattern 2. Pattern 3. And you can start mixing them. And you start to see them all sort of blur together, which is really nice. All right, so let's roll the track and I'll take you through some pentatonic shapes and then we'll follow those up with their respective or closest E minor pentatonic shape. I'll do it kind of slow and then I'll ease into it musically. I put a little bit of drive on here. I'm using a really cool pedal, by the way. It's a pedal called the Gladio from Cornerstone Audio. They're an Italian company, and it's kind of like I took my 2-rock there and just turned it up. So it's kind of a nice, excuse me, marriage between the amp and the pedal in this guitar. I literally have had this pedal for about less than 24 hours, and I'm already using it. It's very, very cool. We'll see if I take one off the board and add it. But in any case, that's what I'm doing tone-wise. Let's roll the track as soon as I find it here, and I'll walk some arpeggios, and we'll go down with the pentatonic scale. Up arpeggio, down scale. Here we go. Up arpeggio. So that was the scale coming down. Here we go. Slower. Musical context. Let's try another arpeggio. Here's one. Scale. Another arpeggio. Scale. Again. Let's go down here. Scale down. Okay, arpeggio once again. 3, 4. Arpeggio here. Scale down. One more time. Arpeggio. Scale. Yeah, there we go. Out of track. So in any case, that is the best way I recently found to practice arpeggios, to kind of introduce them into your playing. There's a myriad of different ways that you can practice arpeggios, but I thought, excuse me, I thought that that was pretty fun because it sounded more musical than just kind of, I can do this, I promise. Yeah. It's a little less sort of spelled out, if you will, a little more musical. That's what we're shooting for. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that lesson. It's really fun to kind of experiment with these things that I've been doing for a long time and find new ways to teach them. So if you enjoyed that, if you stuck around this long, if you're so inclined, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when I put out new videos and lesson content, gear demos, all kinds of stuff, about once a week here on this channel. So stay tuned. Please subscribe, and that really helps me to stay motivated to do this stuff. Yeah, it's hard work, but it's a lot of fun, and I love communicating with you guys. So drop me a message in the comment, and feel free to contact me at my website in the links below. Don't forget the tab is also in the links below. You'll find a link, take you to a website, follow the steps, you'll get it. Keep in mind that it has the date of the video as the title. Well, the title plus the date. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Enough jibber jabber from me. I'm Corey. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you learned something. I'll see you on the next lesson.